season ago, John Elmore led Marshall to its first ever NCAA tournament win. Tonight, the first place herd visit Western Kentucky and big man Charles Bassey, perhaps the best freshman in America outside of Duke. Teeth of a cold winter's night, Conference USA powerhouses collide. A big crowd expected in Bowling Green as the Marshall Thundering Herd invade the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Welcome inside the building. Welcome down to the floor. John Sadak and the former all-conference man at Northwestern and Tim Doyle. These, the two preseason favorites in Conference USA. Just how good are they?
I think they're clearly the most talented teams in a very deep Conference USA, but these teams don't like each other, John Sadak, and I like that about this matchup.
They met each other in the title game last year. They also met just 9 days ago, and what a wild matchup it was in Huntington.
Yeah, a double-digit lead that Western Kentucky had at half, but once again, it's been a theme for them all season long for the Hilltoppers. They fell apart in this game. Marshall walked away with a win. There's bad blood here, but redemption is clearly on Western Kentucky's mind.
And we also have a game loaded with star power. We could be seeing the matchup of the likely player of the year at this stage in Conference USA and the freshman of the year at Conference USA, John Elmore and Charles Bassey.
I have two children, but if I could adopt these two guys, I would, because they're great players on the floor and even better off the floor. Bassey had a 4.0 GPA in his first semester at Western Kentucky, and John Elmore is the consummate student athlete, the only player in the history of Conference USA with over 2,000 points and 600 assists. Marshall's undefeated. Western Kentucky could be undefeated. John Sadak, something's got to give tonight.
Papa Tim Doyle, I'm as fired up as you. It's Western Kentucky and Marshall. Their matchups have made history in the past. More to come tonight. Giant crowd on hand. You can feel the energy in this building. The Hilltoppers getting introduced. They sold out of season tickets before the season even began. First time since this building was built in 1963. Here are the starting lineups. A couple of changes of note for Marshall. How about Tavian Kinsey? Started in the Conference USA opener January the 3rd at ODU as a starter. 15 points, 7 rebounds per, moving from point guard to power forward. And Timmy D, your marquee matchup, C.J. Burks against Tavion Hollingsworth.
Yeah, Burks is coming off a back-to-back 30-point performances. He can score in bunches. He was quiet in the first meeting between these two teams, and Hollingsworth's only a sophomore, but he's increased his scoring from 13 points a game to 16 points a game. He needs to be special at home because Western Kentucky wants to be where Marshall is, ahead of the class in Conference USA.
Last year they met in the title game. That contest won by the Herd. And Dan D'Antoni, who led his alma mater to the NCAA tournament. First ever NCAA tournament win for the Marshall Athletics Hall of Famer and his alma mater. Rick Stansbury at home with Western Kentucky, 30-8. He wins almost 80% of the time. And the tap is won by the Hilltoppers as we are underway at Diddle Arena. Delano Banton running point. And it's been a weakness for Western Kentucky this year. So has been turnovers. That plagued them when they met last time out 9 days ago.
And they had 18 turnovers against Marshall, and that was a huge issue. West, his hands are so good. Watch 33 in green, constantly moving. That's John Elmore for the Marshall Thundering Herd.
They spread the floor, 5 out here. 7 to shoot. Jared West, the contested 3 that was grazed. Shot clock winding, and a violation. The horn didn't sound all that loud. The building drowned it out.
Savor this moment, John Sadak. We just saw a Dan D'Antoni team have a shot clock violation.
Now that is a true rarity for a team that gets shots off as quick as almost anyone. Average time of possession, 14 seconds. Hilltoppers 5-2 at home this year. And another turnover. Taking care of the ball, something Rick Stansbury talked about at great length today. Catch and release, that was again grazed. A couple of triples deflected by Western Kentucky.
The energy is high in this arena.
Josh Anderson, the lead. He began the year at point, has moved more to a wing position. The dump down low. Bassey, the double. Banton. A lid on the cut. Bassey with no angle, but Marshall hurried steps for Jared West. Is that the presence of Bassey's physicality?
Well, Bassey's the difference maker on the floor because there's no one else that could simulate his size and athleticism. And some guys get listed at 6'11", but they're really 6'9". It's like Fletch, 6'9" with the afro, 6'11". He's actually legit 6'11". He is all of that size.
And there's a double team deflected out of bounds by Marshall. 90-plus seconds gone. Still looking for the first bucket.
This is going to be a matchup to watch. West is the best defender for Marshall, and he's going up against Banton, who can brutally put the ball on the floor, but at 6'8", only a freshman. We saw him have an early turnover.
Bassey trying to show his range. Is that a good shot?
He's made a handful of threes this year. It's 8 of 14 before that miss.
Elmore off target. Marshall, 5-0 in conference play. Anderson, the hesitant three. The Hilltoppers are 2-3 in league play, but those 3 losses by a total of 5 points. Expectations remain sky high.
Even though Marshall is undefeated, I believe on paper, talent-wise, Western Kentucky's the best team in Conference USA.
And they went 1-2 in that order in the preseason poll. We haven't seen many touches for Tavian Kinsey. Instead, it's Burks. Oh, what a move. Hopping to the cup.
When he's aggressive, puts his head down, he could be as difficult to guard as any guard in the country. Only had 4 points in his first matchup against Western Kentucky. But, John, he responded back-to-back 30-point games to the senior.
That was after a conversation with his head man, Dan D'Antoni, dribbling into a trap. Bassey drop step, tries to twist and goes strong. He turns it over. A travel. And that's where his turnovers often come, right? He gets in the post, that double comes.
But coming into this game, it was a nearly 1-to-4 assist-to-turnover ratio. You know, we talk about guys that take good care of the basketball, but he's only a freshman. He's still raw. I think sometimes his feet get a little bit ahead of his body.
He's only 18 years old, turned 18 in October. Crowd believed Elmore traveled. He had reclassified, left high school a year early. Pass against the grain of the lane, and Bassey wins it for Western Kentucky. Savage the lead, Banton behind the Bassey pick. Elbow J, drops down. A Marshall team that loves to push the pace. Tempo is a big part of what they do.
They average 85 points in conference games.
There's Kinsey's first look. Bassey wanted it. Instead, Anderson wide open. And the Marshall board to Jared West.
He made one earlier, John, and that may end up benefiting Marshall in the long run because that's not his strength. They're going to give Anderson those all game long.
Oh, what a lead by Elmore. Burks saw the size of Bassey and tumbles down with the one-handed release.
John, you think those two guys have played together for a while?
Oh, the strip of the backcourt. The tie. Banton able to pass out of it from his backside. And will step aside. C.J. Burks gets buckets. 30 points in each of his last 2. And these are pretty 2 on the dime by Elmore.
You're looking at John Elmore, who scored over 2,000 points, and he's dropped over 600 dimes. You can see him here with the basketball. Watch him driving the attention. Freeze it right there. 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. Here's C.J. Burks. They're both seniors. 2 guys who played together for a while. And after the assist, did he wink at me again? He winked at me 2 years ago on this very network, and now John Elmore is winking at me again. I have a 1 wink minimum throughout a career, and he has surpassed that.
There is a kindred spirit type relationship between the two of you. They're both shot makers. I think is it right that he asked you before the game today if you could play in a game like this, what your production would be?
I told them 6 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and heart palpitations for days. I would give anything to be out there right now. And Elmore is a special talent. Learned the game from his father, Gay, who was an excellent player at VMI. And he wears 33 because of his dad. And Larry Bird. Kids this age don't know who Larry Bird is.
Burks off the fake. The rattle doesn't drop. Anderson wins it for Western Kentucky. And he can heat up like Bird, too, from outside. Marshall, though, without a three-point make. Western Kentucky feeds Bassey in the high post. Immediately draws the paw. Banton to Bassey. Sees that double. Goes end line and wills it home. The trail three. Loose ball. Anderson out of bounds. Marshall basketball. And a sub for Western Kentucky as Lamonte Bearden will sub it.
I love that he goes right into his move. You know, so many big guys kind of plod and dribble and wait for it. And Bassey's at his best when he's attacking. I was super impressed the way he frustrated Ethan Happ from Wisconsin. He forced Happ to shoot 9 of 13, and that was a big-time win for Western Kentucky.
And there's a lead pass for Bassey off his hand out of bounds. Now, Western Kentucky has weapons, but it's not very deep. Due in part to defection during the course of the season. Auburn transfer Deshaun Murray decided to leave after 8 games to pursue professional opportunities per a release from the university. And Rick Stansbury still looking for a point guard to steer the ship. Kinsey, who's gone from point guard to power forward. He's been on the perimeter a lot, gets the bucket there. And we got a technical foul here. It looks like Kinsey, the freshman, was he taunting after the bucket?
He was definitely yapping. Taunting, I think that may be a little extreme, but we talked about the bad blood between these teams. I think referees want to kind of keep this game in check. Freshman, coming off freshman of the week in Conference USA. He was outstanding in their first matchup with 23 points. I think he's just a little hyped right now. He's apologizing to the ref.
And there is a top 3 free throw shooter in the league. And Jared Savage, 87%, misses the first. You know, Kinsey, from the start of the year, Mike D'Antoni, Dan's brother, 2-time NBA Coach of the Year, told him, play him at the 4. You're going to want him at the 4. It wasn't until the start of conference play they made the switch. And by the way, that's when the Thundering Herd really started to click, and they're 5-0 in conference. Here's a look. That's what drew the technical, whatever was said there. Could that be a swing moment? And a travel by Anderson. For all the energy that was here at the game's start, it feels like it's been sucked out some by the herky-jerky play on each side.
Well, these teams have had quick turnarounds.
Right.
You know, they're not used to playing such a quick turnaround as Elmore gets so easily to the hoop. That's my fear if I'm Rick Stansbury, is giving up layups and easy looks. In their first meeting in the second half against Western Kentucky, Marshall shot nearly 70% from 2-point range. So I know they're known for shooting threes and make nearly 10 a game, but they were getting easy looks, and you get worried if Elmore gets going, look out for Western Kentucky.
Not a lot of ball movement here. Anderson, the floater, deflected off glass, in stride. Kinsey, harassed, able to dribble out of it. Bobbles, finds Elmore open. Off target. His shooting numbers are down this year.
Yeah, below 40% from the field. He kind of rushed that one.
Anderson sealed off. Knocked free. Elmore. Burks slams on the brakes. Elmore. Aggressive drive. Lost it. Took a spill. Now the energy ramping back up. Hollingsworth. Burks fouled. Josh Anderson with his first.
I'm okay with the Elmore miss on the other end, and here's why. Last 2 games, John Elmore He has shot 27 free throws. That was one of his strengths last year that he's gotten back to this year, is being aggressive, going to the basket, looking for those free throws. And he told me before the game, he goes, if I don't get to the free throw line, that's going to be a major problem for us. He thought that was the difference when Marshall knocked off Wichita State. He was able to get to the line time and time again, and he finds that a strength in his game, being aggressive, attacking the rim.
Both teams with subs. West and Jansen Williams out for Marshall. Michael Byers is in. JUCO transfer at 6'9", who can shoot. The take to the cup by the subbed in Rondell Watson off target. He's been their 6th man. Calling for the ball, Mustafa Jun. And the weak side board to Elmore.
Rick Stansbury can't be thrilled with some of the shot selection early on in this game.
Deep look. Clanks off to Jun. Jun doesn't play a lot, just 6.5 minutes a game. A lot of subs here for Rick Stansbury. Elmore gets the strip. That's in part because Merrick Nelson is likely done for the year. Elevator up, off iron. And Marshall wins it. Sweeping to the rim, the banker there for Michael Byers. Marshall, the road lead. Tolu Smith, double comes. Travel. Turnovers have come in bunches in that post area. And some straight strips as well for a Marshall team that's among the best in the country. Top 5 with 10 steals a game. Elmore the strip. And at the other end, a man who plays 10 minutes a game gives Marshall a 10-8 lead. Catch Marshall right back here on CBS Sports Network Thursday night at College Hoops Double Dip, 7 Eastern. Memphis takes on Temple, followed by the Thundering Herd visiting Louisiana Tech at 9. And the Marshall Thundering Herd able to knock off Western Kentucky in the title game last year behind the outstanding play of John Elmore. 7 made triples in the game, a title game record.
And that was a game that Western Kentucky couldn't foul. It's only a 1-point game. Marshall walked away with the win. They go to the tournament, knock off Wichita State. What an outstanding year. We talked to Dan D'Antoni before the game. He told us that that was his greatest coaching accomplishment of all time.
And he knows the history of his alma mater well. Kinsey pops loose. Marshall still without a made triple, 0 for 7. But ahead a couple because Western Kentucky has turned it over 9 times. Omer dribbles into a tough spot. Over top of the screen. 10 to shoot. No ball movement here, Tim.
How good has Marshall's defense been? It seems like the wrong guy always has the ball for Western Kentucky.
With 3 on the timer, forced shot. Hollingsworth wins it, stripped again. The steals piling up, 10 giveaways for Western Kentucky.
But you make a good point, John. There's no offensive rhythm for Western Kentucky. I can't say there's been much so far for Marshall either.
Elmore has basically been the solo facilitator and loses the handle out of bounds.
Yeah, the thief there, the senior who started his career at VMI, took his talents to Huntington, West Virginia, and we were talking with Dan D'Antoni as far as where he falls in Marshall lore. He had him right up there at some of the all-time greats, including his brother Mike, Hal Greer. And when you look at the numbers, right now top 5 all-time in points scored in Marshall history. And he is climbing up each and every statistical category. The only player in the history of Conference USA with over 2,000 points, 600 dimes.
I love the trivia question that Dan D'Antoni had for the two of us. Name the program that has had a 2-time NBA Coach of the Year and a top 50 NBA player all time. The Marshall Thundering Herd. His brother Mike and Hal Greer. That is a one-man show, but the finish not there. Bassey wins it. Bearden sweeping to the rim, partially denied. And it traveled in transition. This Marshall team that has won 5 consecutive games, led by the play of John Elmore. His shooting is down of late, but he is among the best in Marshall history, and he's got perhaps the biggest notoriety of them all. Won the first ever NCAA tournament game for Marshall. Got that first ever victory in San Diego.
And I love his basketball dial. You know, we just showed the steal before, this side of the basketball. Now he's in the right place at the right time. Check him out right here. Jumping in, taking an offensive charge when he's away from the ball. His basketball IQ is as good as anybody in all of college basketball. And if basketball, when he finishes up playing, I know what he's going to be doing. He's going to be on the sidelines somewhere.
He drew that charge from Jared Savage, one of the front runners for Newcomer of the Year at Conference USA. And there is Savage on cue, and the Rainbow make. Sat out last year, transferred in from Austin Peay, where he was deadly from deep, and he leads the Hilltoppers in triples on the season. Oh, nice feed, reverse it home, Jansen Williams.
What a pass by Byers, huh? He's come in and made some electrifying plays. He had the finger roll and then the sweet dime to Williams.
Now he's trying to defend Bassey, who's shaping up. He wants the ball. High degree of difficulty. Bassey wins it, falling away.
That was all caused by Anderson's drive. He drew the help defense, and then Bassey had the mismatch. Good soft touch there. Kept that ball high. That's what big guys are supposed to do. Don't bring it down. Don't make yourself go from 6'11" to 5'11".
Deep three. Williams misses. Marshall is 0 for 9 from outside. Anderson again, right to the rim, changes hands. It feels like a championship ball game. Elmore astride inside. Tried to thread the needle, kick ball.
Western Kentucky on their home floor, trying to get to where Marshall is right now. Hurd hanging tough. Josh Anderson leading his squad. They're up 3 at home.
Western Kentucky up 3. Marshall has yet to hit a 3, but it keeps taking the ball away from Western Kentucky. 4 steals already.
Yeah, normally when we talk about Marshall, it's all about the offense, but they have frustrated Western Kentucky, held the Hilltoppers to only 37% from the field, and they've turned them over 10 times the first 12-plus minutes of this game. I'm sure John Elmore is not happy with shooting 0 for 9 for 3, but so far, his defense keeping close, and there we are.
Are you talking defense there? Are you giving him some pointers?
Here's what I was telling him. You don't get your name in headlines because of defense. They never said, and by the way, John Elmore played great defense. They never say that. They said John Elmore had 26 points and 12 assists. So defense doesn't get headlines. Offense. Every coach out there is cringing, John Sadak.
What a feed, and the banker for Jansen Williams, and Marshall is actually a great example of that. If you look at their point per game averages scored and allowed, and they're inflated by 2 blowouts against powerhouses during the course of non-conference, they're nearly even, and yet this team is 12-6 and 5-0 in the league. They just want to outscore you. Timer wilting. Banton, who's playing point, spun around on a pivot. Deep contested 3 and a bank miss. Hit only glass. Rondell Watson, aggressive take, blowing off, offensive foul. And that'll be his second.
John, check out how far the Thundering Herd are extending out on the perimeter. I mean, this has been a theme all first half, is Western Kentucky looking befuddled on the offensive end. No offensive rhythm, and Jarrett West has just been all over hounding the basketball. Check his defense on Bearden, forces another bad look.
Oh, and Anderson follows and flushes. Are you okay with Watson staying in the game here? Marshall's sixth man with 2 fouls.
It's a good question. They're so thin that Dan D'Antoni really has no choice.
And a strip on the way. That's Josh Anderson. That would be his second foul.
I was talking about the defense there by West, but what a sensational athlete Josh Anderson is. Only a sophomore. Look at him get up. He had a dunk last year that John Elmore and I were talking about, that Elmore basically said I had to get out of the way because I knew I was going to be on every poster. And he said I did not do a good enough job because, John said, like, I was on every poster.
And those posterized moments can live for a long time. Difficult moments here for Rick Stansbury. Who does he have handle the basketball best to facilitate his offense? And how does he handle rotation, particularly at the big spot? Merrick Nelson, a part-time starter, is likely done for the year with a back issue. That's what Rick Stansbury told us today. We asked him wherever those minutes come from if he's not available. He shrugged his shoulders and said, I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, Banton almost had a triple-double against Wisconsin, but I'm not sure he's a true point guard. I think it's Bearden and Hollingsworth are their best 2 guard matchups.
Oh, strong drop step in the strip. Burks. And he gives it away on the travel. And turnovers in some bunches here. See the shirt with Hillbilly Ball, the self-described offensive philosophy. Dan D'Antoni says instead of a player creating a scoring opportunity, you just move the ball as quickly as possible, and the movement creates the opportunity. And here's an opportunity for Marshall, behind the back dribble, off the iron, and Marshall wins it. With Elmore on the bench. Is this a zone here?
No, it's looks like man. You give up an open look for 3.
Bassey gets the board, undercut, the foul. And that'll be 2 on Kinsey.
You know, when we talked to Rick Stansbury, he was really emphasizing experience. And when you look out on the floor right now for his squad, he's got a lot of young guys out there. And where experience comes into play is when guys are struggling for Western Kentucky, you know who should get the ball? That guy right there. Like when all else fails, you got to get Bassey a touch. Because no one else on the floor has a body like that or a physicality like number 23 in white.
And he's the youngest man on the floor. Savage, catch and release. Bassey wins it. Nearly gets stripped, reset, and draws the foul.
He gets it off the rim that time. But at 6'11" from Nigeria, he is a special, special talent.
And he's a 74% free throw shooter. Super smart. But the college game at times in conference play, the turnovers have spiked a bit. How do you counter that?
Rick Stansbury said he thought he was even putting a little bit too much pressure on him. So I don't know. There's that fine balance of you have a guy who's a unique talent, a special talent, but also allowing him to grow and not putting too much pressure on him. But I don't know. I would throw him the ball every single time down the floor at 6'11".
And the foul there goes on Watson, so that's 3 fouls on Rondell Watson. He goes bench. Elmore is back in.
Right, they are in 2-3 zone because it's Bassey here. Who's he guarding?
Is that just about clogging that lane? Marshall gives it away.
And I think that was the problem for Marshall. Because you run a certain offense if it's man, a certain offense if it's zone. And heck, you and I are sitting over here. We had a tough time kind of picking out what they were in. So the Thundering Herd, they clearly did as well.
Let's see what the Hilltoppers can do momentum-wise. Bearden running the point. He runs end line here. Hollingsworth. Oh, nice crossover. Had the window. Doesn't take the shot. Bearden lurking on that left wing. Anderson. Jump give. Bearden to the rim. Whoa, the follow by Bassey just off. And out of bounds on the end line. A baseline entry to come. Rick Stansberry led his team to the NIT semifinals last year. He knew how close that was to being a big highlight. Savage, he has not hesitated, and he can't get it to go. West leaves for Elmore.
Yeah, I would look for Jansen Williams here. He's the guy that Bassey's guarding down low.
Opposite. There he is. Williams. Tapped in the air blindly by Darius George out of bounds.
You know, John, I just wanted to have that Tony Romo moment. Because I think Tony was getting the signal through his earpiece yesterday. Because was he just calling out play after play?
Well, here, I'll give you another chance. What's coming?
I would get Bassey a touchdown low, but I want Tony Romo to do my taxes. So I need to forecast how much I'm going to have to pay this year.
He could see the future. He can't fix the past.
Man, he was good yesterday, huh? Holy cow.
Opposite Savage, extra give. Hollingsworth, floater, too strong. Burks. Tapped in the air, Hollingsworth. Numbers on the run. Strong take, Anderson hit. Crowd wanted a call, Marshall ball. Burks pass tipped by Anderson, giving up the body. Hollingsworth, Bassey's got it. This crowd is yearning for a moment, Tim. Bassey wants it. Savage. Foul! Jansen Williams has his first. And the fouls piling up on Marshall. They'll have bonus the rest of the way. Western Kentucky has the lead.
Basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And by the General Insurance. Get a free anonymous online quote now.
Neither team has led by more than 3. Western Kentucky up a deuce. And close calls have been there for Western throughout the season, including some big-time victories, taking down West Virginia. A West Virginia team that just knocked off Kansas, winning at Arkansas. And a huge win right here on CBS Sports Network over a top 15 Wisconsin team. Now, these Hilltoppers, over the course of the last 2 seasons, 7-3 against Power 5 conference teams.
If they get into the tournament this year, do you believe they can win a game or 2?
Easily.
I agree. You know, last year at their Conference USA, Middle Tennessee should have gotten in. You know, they knocked off Western Kentucky up in Murfreesboro to win a regular season championship. They were top 25 in the country. And all was good. Babies were crying. Kermit Davis is kissing everybody in the stands. Then they lose to Marshall at home, lose first round of the Conference USA tournament, and don't make it. Last year, I really thought they got the short end of the stick because I watched the tournament for 2 reasons. I want to see the Cinderellas early and the big boys late. And I think there should be more opportunities to teams in Conference USA, in the Atlantic 10, in the Missouri Valley, because what a great story last year Loyola was in Chicago. And if they lose the Missouri Valley Conference Championship,
they're not in.
That's awful.
Yeah. I agree with you. Those are the magic moments, like Marshall taking down Wichita State in the tournament last year. Burks emphatically rejected. Oh, it's getting physical out there. Off the head fake, a stride, 3-ball. 0 for 13 from deep for Marshall. Out of bounds, Western Kentucky ball. So a 4-point advantage for the Hilltoppers. And Marshall dealing with some foul concern. Tavian Kinsey, who's been their star in conference play, 2 fouls. Rondell Watson, their 6th man, who has started some this year, 3 fouls. Anderson with Elmore taking a tumble. Offensive foul on the contact. And Bassey's got his first. Heading your way, AT&T at the half. A look at the men of March and Eric Musselman of Nevada. It'll be award season, Conference USA. Tim Doyle will hand out his midseason awards. We'll have the first half highlights, the stats. All head your way on AT&T at the half. It's getting physical there off ball, Tim.
Well, you could tell Elmore wants to make a play, steps on the end line.
It seems like the most fluid offense has come when Elmore has been on that drive.
What teams have done this year more so than any other year is they've doubled him. And you can see all eyes are on him. When Aideen Penova transferred from Marshall, he really changed this year's complexion and makeup because he was a difference maker.
Oh, Anderson's been a difference maker. Bassey cleans it up. Bassey tied for the game high with 7. Burks wants it. Elmore feeds him. Can Marshall go the half without a 3? 0 for 13. Out of the corner. There's the first 3-ball. Darius George, a 31% shooter. Lamonte Bearden, who missed the first semester, academically ineligible. Shortly after he came back, an ankle injury cost him a couple of games. Rick Stansbury has been hopeful he could grab the mantle and run the offense, run the point. The lob to Bassey, who gets tripled, pass out of it. Hollingsworth trying to sell it some against Elmore. 5 to shoot. Bassey shaping up. Hollingsworth, the accidental flip, and Bassey banks it home. Some hustle plays out there, Tim.
Sometimes it's better off to be lucky than good. Talked about Thunder and Herd. They banged down their first 3, but only 19 first half points. John, they came into the game averaging over 85 a game in Conference USA play.
Elmore, and the scoring arrives. What's the look you want here? Timer turned off. Rick Stansbury's going to call the use it or lose it. We'll step aside and we'll break it down when we're back. In the first 18 minutes of the game, John Elmore, who averages 20 points a game, had 2 points before that triple.
Yeah, he does not need much room. Came into the game off a back-to-back 29-point efforts. If I'm Western Kentucky here, I'm going to get Anderson the ball 4 and White to have him driving aggressively.
Instead, the steal. Deep 3, Jared West. What a momentum swing. Out of a cold timeout, timer turned off.
He had no shoe on. He made that shot with 1 shoe. Let's see that replay one more time. That's why everybody's laughing. Who needs 2 shoes out here? The 5'11 sophomore gives Marshall a 1-point lead at the half. What a basket. As the steal, there goes the shoe. West the 3, and guess what? Thundering Herd, they're up 1 at the half. John Sadak, I can't believe my eyes.
Back on AT&T at the half, the final. final 6 points of the first stanza went to Marshall. Thundering Herd enjoys the road lead. Welcome back down to the floor. John Sadak and the very dapper Tim Doyle. Delighted to be with you. As it's time to break it down, my friend. Award season is here in many other walks of life. So why not preview the Conference USA hardware? What say you? Conference USA Player of the Year.
Envelope, please, as we look, and I think it's easy. I think it's John Elmore from Marshall. He's averaging over 20 points a game. Yeah, the points per game are down a little bit, but here's the guy who's going to go down as one of Marshall's all-time greats. And when you're undefeated, guys who win Player of the Year are on teams that win. Oh, as well as Coach of the Year. How good has North Texas been this year? Got off to an outstanding start. Coach McCaslin there has those guys believing, and on the flip side, surprise teams. Now, if you combine UAB and North Texas, their home records are 21-1. So they've done an outstanding job, Coach Eson at UAB, protecting their home court. But if you want to make noise in March, if you're going to make a splash in a conference tournament, you got to show that grittiness of winning on the road.
And that's what John Elmore did in the tournament last year. What were you guys talking about? You had a pretty long dialogue out there before the game.
I've been covering John Elmore for 3 years, and I told him, I said, I want to see something special. I said, I come all the way here. I want to see a special moment. So far, Marshall has struggled from three, but you look up at the scoreboard, they got a 1-point lead. It's been a very odd game. I think Rick Stansbury is telling his squad right now, please take care of the basketball.
Let's take a look at the rest of Conference USA, a 14-team league. You mentioned North Texas just got tripped up for the first time, only a half game back of Marshall. If Marshall falls, they're tied atop the league yet again. And C.J. Burks, you called for him to have a big day. 30 points in each of his last 2 ball games.
Yeah, he was quiet against Western Kentucky in their first matchup, only had 4 points. And on the flip side, you look at Tavian Kinsey. He is a jumping jack. Neither one of those guys really found an offensive rhythm. I think the biggest storyline this year with Conference USA is the depth. So many years, it's really a 2 or 3 team really who can go out there and win it. And when I look at the conference this year, I see 4 or 5 teams that could come out on top. Obviously, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Marshall being undefeated in conference play, they're still the man in Conference USA.
Marshall has won 30 consecutive games when leading at halftime. We'll be back to break down the first when we're back. AT&T at the half, 25-24.
Thank you for watching AT&T at the half. AT&T, giving you more for your college basketball thing.
Marshall missed its first 14 from outside, but made the final 2 for the narrow halftime lead. Welcome back to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and that final triple just before the break coming without a shoe.
But check this out right here. No shoe. The shoe is gone. And you see West thinking about a layup? Forget that. I got no shoe on. I got to shoot a 3, and why not? He bangs down the 3, gives Marshall a 1-point lead. And Dan D'Antoni's got to be scratching his head going, how are we winning this game?
Bit of a Cinderella moment, and here are the stars in the game. What have you seen from Elmore and Bassey?
Well, Bassey needs more touches. He's really gotten his best work done off of offensive rebounds. And as for Elmore, he's just had a tough time finding any space. Credit Hollingsworth and Bearden, they have really made the senior work for every single touch of the ball.
Elbow jumper, rims out. Tavian Kinsey, only 11 minutes in the first half, picked up his second foul and sat for the rest of the stanza. Delano Banton didn't play a ton of the first half. He does begin the second. Slices, no-look feed, reverse! Oh, what a finish by Josh Anderson.
Banton has one of those drool all over yourself skill sets. Almost had a triple-double against Wisconsin.
John Elmore just stared you down there after the made 3. There's something going on between you and John Elmore.
You know, I had over and under winks in this game, 1.5. We're at 2 winks so far, so it's a dead over.
Wrap around, give it away.
Oh, he wants it.
Elmore, dribble!
If loving John Elmore is wrong, I don't want to be right.
They began 0 for 14 from outside and have now made good on 5 consecutive triples. Timer wilting. Hollingsworth hopping. Denied. Out of bounds. 1 on the shot clock. Hilltopper ball.
Hopping was a good way to describe that, John Sadak. Rick Stansbury's not happy with his team's execution.
What's the look here? 1 second.
You gotta get a lob to Bassey.
Instead on the wing, and a shot clock violation. Rick Stansbury told us he needs to find a way to get his team 1 more bucket, 1 more stop, to find direction for his squad.
The guy I'd watch out for here is 33 in green.
Elmore has erupted. End line drive. Video game moves, and Bassey wins it. Hilltoppers have lost 9 games this year. That's 2 off their total last season. They went to the NIT semis. Anderson. Pretty move. Can't finish. Calling for it. Kinsey. Catch. And the release. Jackson Williams. And Marshall is on fire from 3. Does Western Kentucky need a timeout? They'll call it.
You nailed it. What a start. And it all started with the end of the first half for the Thundering Herd. All of that momentum that they had going into the half has carried over to Marshall. They have a lead. They're up 8.
One of the pivots of Marshall's season came with the start of conference play when Tavian Kinsey became a starter. He has springy athleticism with the best of them. Look at this save to lead to a triple that forced Western Kentucky to call timeout. Shades of, what is that vertical? Is that like 5 feet in the air? He could get hurt on re-entry through the atmosphere.
It looks photoshopped in a way, but it's not. The freshman is a freak athletically. And this Marshall season 180'd when Mike D'Antoni told Dan D'Antoni to get him in the lineup.
And to move him from backup point guard to starting power forward. He had 23 in that matchup against Western Kentucky 9 days ago.
I'll try to get Bassey a touch here somehow, some way.
Instead, a 3 ball that pops out for Banton, and here's Elmore, who had 2 points in his first 17 minutes in the game. He's had 9 in his last 3+ minutes. Kinsey. Elmore. And Burks can pour it in too. Kinsey stripped. Anderson's got it. And Josh Anderson's had a heck of a game.
No doubt about it. He's been their most aggressive player. I'd get Bassey a touch right here. He's working hard down low.
Battling against the 6'9", 215 Williams. And Marshall rips it away. Turnovers in bunches. Western Kentucky has already hit its season high. And Elmore trying to hit from nearly half court, airballs it. Dan D'Antoni loves tempo. You asked him about some of the blowout losses they suffered in non-conference, and he said that as far as he's concerned, losing by 40, losing by 10 is the same thing. And some of those margins can be inflated by how fast they usually play.
Well, interesting stat. They've won 30 straight games the Thundering Herd have when they lead at halftime.
Bassey rejected. Second effort, taps it home.
Have to get him more touches. He should touch the ball every time down the floor.
Western Kentucky won both matchups in the regular season last year, including one by 50 when they outscored Marshall in the paint by that same margin. They had over 70 points in the paint in that game. 3 ball off for Williams. Hollingsworth, a size mismatch.
I'd get Bassey the ball down here. He's working hard.
There is Bassey, double comes. Opposite, 3-ball. Hollingsworth misses, follows, wins it. Out of bounds, Western Kentucky ball. Bassey's got 11 and 11. Marshall has the lead on the road, trying to remain undefeated at Conference USA. Flossing here tonight, tomorrow 7 Eastern, basketball time. Our team of studio experts break down all you need to know on the hardwood around the nation. Don't miss Inside College Basketball on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Now Marshall on top has outscored Western Kentucky 9-4 in the second. Hasn't outscored the opponent by a ton in a couple of wins already, including winning at Old Dominion. Hard to do on this bucket near the horn.
It's been a theme for Marshall all season long, and then they go down to Charlotte, eke out a win, and then against Western Kentucky, this is a game they trailed by double digits at the half. And I think the difference is between Marshall and Western Kentucky, one word: experience. Guys that have been around the block, guys that believe in themselves. You know, we've seen Western Kentucky go in a funk here, and who's that guy that's going to pull them out of the funk? Hollingsworth's only a sophomore. Bassey's only a freshman. Savage is a transfer.
There's Bassey. He's got a double-double already, his 8th of the year, but he couldn't finish as the bodies collapsed. And you saw that number, the games decided by 5 or less for Western Kentucky. The 3 losses came in succession by 5 total points. Burks misses. That included the first back-to-back 1-point losses for the program since 1930. Back to the basket. That was a smart flip by the senior, Lamonte Bearden. He is the man with the experience. Went to 2 tournaments with Buffalo.
I think he's going to end up being the X factor. Here, kind of a veteran play, jumps in, causes the contact. Last year as a junior, he averaged 11 points a game. Missed the first 7 games due to suspension. Now he's back. He's had 3 double-figure games. And Rick Stansbury told us in their most recent win against Florida Atlantic, he felt that Bearden was finally starting to come into his own.
Had 11 points in that game, was very efficient. 3 of 4 from the field, 26 minutes off the bench. And Rick Stansbury said he helped us because he didn't allow the team to get sped up. That's something that's happened the last few games with other personnel, that he's the only real veteran type of player we have. We need him to control the flow of the game. Elmore instead has dictated flow early in the second half. Burks slicing, stripped by Anderson. Savage. Hello, Mr. Anderson. He'll go to the line. That'll be another foul on Jansen Williams. He's got 3.
I'm not sure explosive does Josh Anderson justice. He is a fantastic athlete, only a sophomore, still figuring out his offensive game, but just flat-out athlete. 3-point shot, he made one in this game. It's starting to come around, but this is a guy who I believe in 2 years could be up for Conference USA Player of the Year.
A consensus 4-star recruit, top 60 in the country, but he was not cleared last year until January the 5th. He was behind on academics his senior year in high school, had a death in his family, there was flood damage to his home, there was miscommunication on deadline dates for makeup work. So his debut came at Marshall last season. That was a 112-87 blowout when Western Kentucky outscored Marshall in the paint by 50.
I called that game, and that was a wild performance. Darius Thompson had a triple-double for the Hilltoppers. And I thought Western Kentucky last year was good enough to make it to the tournament. This is the first possession. They show 1-3-1 zone. Best way to attack that is try to get that ball to the middle of the Burks.
Elmore. Here's Watson, who had 3 fouls in the first.
Now they're back to man.
There's Burks on the wing. Nice bounce. Extra give. The size of Western Kentucky out of bounds. 2 to shoot.
You know, we hear so much of changing defenses in football. That was a possession there where they showed 1-3-1. I thought it was man. They actually fell back into 2-3 zone.
Difficult entry point here. Where do you go? Right to Burks on the wing. And a foul! Anderson! That'll be his third.
Yeah, they inbounded it before I could give you an answer, so I guess I would say go to Burks.
The crowd just got a look at the replay. What do you think? They're taking a look, it appears, on the far side of the floor. They want to confirm who the foul should be on. Hollingsworth was there collapsing on help from the rear. Remember that Western Kentucky is very thin, and Josh Anderson has been their best player so far today.
But there's the reach. I thought the foul was on Hollingsworth. John, who did they get the foul on?
It looks like they've changed it to Hollingsworth. So Anderson still with 2. That's the first on Tavion Hollingsworth. And here's Burks, who was held to a season low 4 points when these teams met 9 days ago. Free throw miss, wins the ball, no, out of bounds. When these teams met in Huntington, Western Kentucky held the lead for almost 34 minutes. But 18 turnovers for the Hilltoppers. Half a dozen in the last few minutes of the game. Marshall took the contest. Contact in the lane. Free throws coming for Bearden. Elmore's got his first. And Bearden with Buffalo 3 years ago led the team 13.5 points per game. Buffalo's made some even bigger national noise since his stay with the Bulls. And Buffalo among the teams that remain very competitive even in the late stage of games, with the net number replacing RPI, offensive efficiency throughout a game carrying more weight, margin of victory mattering. These teams don't have much of a choice. They're not very deep. Starters will play a ton. Elmore wanted it behind the Burke screen. 3-ball! And he gives you a look and a wink again. I think there might be a record for winks at a broadcaster tonight.
My heart is melting.
Valentine's still a few weeks away. Savage, Bassey showing off the J.
A good box out there by Byers. This is what you need to do against a 1-3-1 zone. You need to attack it, John. You've got to get into the teeth of it. And watch this penetration right there. Gets 3 guys around them. Elmore is able to bury the 3. And when that goes in, that stroke looks oh so good.
Oh, nice behind the back. Elmore. Now got a piece. Burks right under the cup trying to fight through. No. Anderson hesitating, looking for help.
What great defense there by Elmore. He stayed with Hollingsworth and was going to force Anderson to shoot that 3.
Hollingsworth off balance, floating in the heavens.
He's going to be the difference. He's been quiet in this game, Hollingsworth. See if he's able to get going. His first 2 points of the night.
3-ball off target. Weak side, won by Bearden.
Bassey's working hard down low.
On the fire. Off his leg, gives it to Marshall. Elmore has been reading screens very well. Now goes right to the rim. Crowd believes travel. Yes, sir. Tavion Hollingsworth, double figures in 5 of his last 6. He leads the Hilltoppers in scoring on the year. That is first bucket of the night. Could that lift the lid? Let's have a look at the game summary brought to you by AT&T. The Hilltoppers topping their season high in turnovers. It was 18 the last time they faced Marshall. 19 already tonight, Tim Doyle.
Yeah, empty possessions just absolutely destroy you, and it's been that lack of experience. Only 5 assists, and on the flip side, if you'd have told Dan D'Antoni he was only going to make 7 of 23 threes, probably wouldn't have been too happy. Nor would he think he would have a 4-point lead on the road, but it's really been Marshall's defense. They have frustrated the Hilltoppers this entire game.
Lamonte Bearden running point. Jake Omer is back in. He's in the far corner. Bassi gets fed, doubled, opposite, the extra pass. Omer off the side, backboard. Squirts free, 2-on-1. Burks, the extra give. Watson hit and fouled. That'll be the first on Omer.
Omer, that's what he does. Every field goal he's made this year has been a 3-pointer. He got a good look. This is a great give back by Burks.
Good foul there, too.
Great foul. I thought he was shooting. Apparently the referees thought differently.
Baseline entry. Staggered to the rim, Burks. He's got 9. Marshall up 6.
His body control is exceptional. You know, because he moves so fast, Burks, but he's always under control.
Bassi doubled. He felt that coming. Deep 3. And a good boxing board. Marshall's got it. The preseason 1 and 2 ranked teams in Conference USA. They met in the title game a year ago. Burks clanks it. Volleyballed out of bounds by Marshall. Rick Stansbury, 31 seasons as an assistant or a head coach. 19 trips to postseason. That included 11 in his 14 years as the head man at Mississippi State.
I think he's scratching his head right now trying to figure out what to do on offense.
They can't get entry. They'll get the timeout. That means the Hilltoppers have 1 left with almost 11 minutes still to go. Looking for direction. MVP of the Conference USA tournament a year ago, John Elmore, has emerged in the second half tonight.
Got off to a slow start with only a bucket early, but that didn't affect his floor game. Still being the leader for Marshall. This was the 3 right before the half that started the run that carried over in the second half. And right now you look at the scoreboard, 14 points and 2 winks for the senior from Charleston, West Virginia.
Yeah, shades of what he did against the Hilltoppers in the title game last year. At 27, 20 came after the break. That included 7 made threes, a title game record in Conference USA. Great feed, and Bassi, soft hands, able to finish.
Nice job by Rick Stansbury there out of a timeout to get his big man a touch in a place where he can make it happen.
And remember, that timeout came to avoid a 5-second violation. 1 timeout left for a Hilltopper team that likes to use the timeout this year late game. Off the fake, West, baseline J. It feels like Western Kentucky can't go on that run because every time it finds a little bit of offensive identity, it doesn't have to stop. And Rick Stansbury frantically trying to find the right combination on the floor. Nice lead, extra give. Omer shapes up. 3 ball. His first career start came against Marshall last year when he poured in a dozen, including a couple of threes. Right to the rim, 2-hand jam. What a response. Marshall's done that since it grabbed control of this game.
Yeah, it's definitely been a storyline. The answer, and now we get back to the key word with Western Kentucky, consistency. They've had a tough time being consistent on both ends of the floor. Last couple of possessions have been their best. Hollingsworth's calling for the ball.
Hollingsworth floats it up, fouled. Jared West. Let's take a look at the flush.
This is a 6'9" sophomore. I'm talking about Byers. He's had some nice performances this year. He had 9 points in the win over FAU. That is a big-time drive, something you tell your kids about when Charles Bassey ends up being a first-round pick in the NBA.
Has a lot of ability. You know, Dan D'Antoni compared his body type and his skill set to Penava, who decided to forego his final year, went pro, did not get drafted, was a big part of Marshall's success, and you believe his two-man game with John Elmore part of what made D'Antoni's offense so special last year.
No doubt about it, because he was a lob guy you could throw the ball up to, and hopefully Byers can be that as this season wears on.
Nice aggressive cut to the cup, Rondell Watson. That's his first points of the game. West providing the escort to Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth. Oh, he's heating up. The Hilltoppers' top scorer. Within a possession, are they changing defenses here?
2-3 zone. You see Elmore, he's going off the ball. You got to watch him, 33 in green.
Oh, the inside out, Elmore. Little short, Omer tries to playground it, out of bounds. Marshall coughs it up. So here's Western Kentucky. A chance with a triple to tie, although the three ball is not a big part of the Hilltopper game.
And this heads-up play by Omer. Nice job getting those legs spread apart so the ball wouldn't touch.
4 seconds, dead ball means media. Kinsey goes back in here. Is that dictating how important this possession is for Dan D'Antoni?
Well, they've had an answer, like you said, John, as far as responding to Western Kentucky. But now you can see Tavion Hollingsworth starting to get a rhythm. I would go screen and roll with Hollingsworth here. Let him make a play.
Hollingsworth has 2 screens. Flips inside. Smith lost the ball. 11 to shoot when we're back. These are the powers in Conference USA. They've traded haymakers all night, and we've got a ball game separated by a bucket. A one-possession affair, Marshall by 3 at Western Kentucky. Tomorrow, 8 Eastern, a college hoops doubleheader on CBS Sports Network. Wichita State battles USF, followed by New Mexico facing UNLV at 10. The Rebels won at the Pit, 80-69 earlier this month. Part of a 3-0 start in conference play for UNLV for the first time in 20 years, going back to their last season in the WAC, 98-99. Now in a 3-way tie in the loss column in the Mountain West. And this Marshall team, the only undefeated squad in Conference USA, 5-0, facing a Western Kentucky team that's 2-3, but on that 3 has tied the game. Hello, Mr. Anderson. The zone is back.
I would get Elmore off the ball here, get him to where he becomes a shooting guard.
West a deep triple, response, and a timeout by Marshall. Another zone defense shown. Dan D'Antoni wants to talk it over.
This is what you want to do as a defender. You want to force Josh Anderson to be a shooter. He starts adding that element to his game. Look out. But, John, I thought you hit the nail on the head about 10 possessions ago. It's been the response by Marshall. Every time Western Kentucky made a run, and this time West buries the 3. They have been hanging tough on the road, which has not been a theme this year for the Thundering Herd, who have definitely taken some lumps, especially in non-conference play when they got run out of the gym by Maryland, Virginia, and Texas A&M.
Now you asked Dan D'Antoni, what'd you learn from those blowout losses against some power conference teams? And he said, don't play at Maryland, don't play at Virginia. Hollingsworth, deep three. Burks rips down the rebound. And this is out of a Marshall call timeout. Burks creating. High kiss. Well, Marshall's 4-5 on the road this year, but red hot. 5 straight wins that began with the start of conference play and with the insertion of the man wearing number 1 in the high post there, Tavian Kinsey, into the starting lineup. Hollingsworth, a hesitant three. Little flat. Omer loses it to Marshall. There's the zone again. Backdoor alley-oop jam! Jansen Williams. Was that drawn up in the timeout, seeing how high that zone was going?
No, but every time you play against a 2-3 zone, if you can get the ball in the middle, you're going to have great success. Anderson gets toward the basket, denied, though, by Williams, who has some sneaky length to him. Elmore lost it, sideline, out of bounds. Now watch the execution here against a 2-3 zone. You get the ball to the middle against a 2-3 zone, and you're going to get this guy out here caught into the basket. There's the middle. There's your alley-oop. Williams able to finish. Flawless. 7 unanswered by Marshall. Bearden responds. That's a tough bucket. Each head coach watches with pursed lips and folded arms. Hollingsworth is all over Elmore. Oh, feed the screener and strip on the way up, Anderson. Savage wants it weak side. Anderson wants the cut. Three ball on high. Bassey can't handle, tumbles awkwardly. Marshall numbers if it hurries. Elmore transition. Rick Stansbury raises his palm to his team. Calls out the play. Clearing out for Hollingsworth. Tough shot, Bassey. Burks. Eight unanswered points for Western Kentucky. Bassey's foul. This is what Hilltopper fans have been starving for all season. Their young star, Charles Bassey, delivers, and the Hilltoppers back on top. They're on their feet. The Hilltoppers back on top. An 8-0 surge to claim a 1-point lead behind the play of Charles Bassey, who's got 15 and 14. Every great big man has these 3 things: footwork, soft touch, and impeccable hands. Bassey has these things, and folks, he's barely 18 years old. So yes, does he turn the ball over maybe a little bit too much for your liking? No doubt about it. Is he still growing into his body? Absolutely. But if Western Kentucky's going to make noise, if they're going to make it back to the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to ride number 23 in white. Enjoy him here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, because I'll tell you this, I'd be shocked if he's wearing that jersey next year.
Turned 18 in October, one of the youngest players in college basketball. Who does he remind you of at the next level? Is there an NBA player you can compare him to?
Because he has a little bit more of an old school game.
Right.
I do think that he's going to have to get a little bit more athletic with his footwork, but he could be a better Clint Capella.
Who got himself a more than $100 million contract. One of the best paint production men in the NBA. Elmore, rejected by Bassett. Can't teach that, right? Everyone is standing, Tim Doyle. The whole building. Anderson wide open. Instead, the smart thing, feed the big fella, extra gives. Hollingsworth, tipped by Anderson. That's 12 unanswered points for the Hilltoppers. Burks, reverse denied by Bassett. And Elmore claims it. The whistle. The length of Bassey, one of the top shot blockers in the country.
Yeah, he almost baited John Elmore, begged him to shoot this ball, and then he says, give me some of that against the backboard. And then Josh Anderson has just been all over the place, scoring big buckets, hitting big jumpers, and that time with the sensational tip.
He did just pick up his third foul. Watson, three ball off. Only 6 for 26 from outside on the year. And now a Hilltopper team that was turning it over left and right to begin the game has such a swagger to its possessions. Bearden, oh, the Euro, nice lead, Anderson, the foul. That was a beautiful, beautiful take.
Rick Stansbury talked about this team is going to change with that guy right there in white leading this squad. He got to the free throw line a few times, got into the lane, got Anderson a look. John Sadak, Marshall has not scored a field goal until the 6:18 mark.
It sounds like Rick Stansbury warned to stay in his coaching box. He was on the verge of a tech there. He is hot. That's 6 fouls on Marshall. So Western Kentucky will have bonus rest of the way. 2 big makes there to make it a 3-possession game. Burks, aggressive drive, and one! That snaps the long field goal drought.
And nearly 5 minutes without a field goal for a team that came into this game averaging 85 points a game. Burks just puts his head down, veteran move, gets into Anderson and gets himself to the free throw line.
And that's 4 fouls on Anderson. Free throw miss by a top 10 free throw shooter in the league. Anderson settles. right to the cup. Oh my goodness! A career-high 23. And 33 fouled in the act of a triple. Elmore 3 shots. Calm make. So each team at 6 fouls. Each will have bonus for the rest of the way. Elmore converts. And a sub. Kinsey in for Marshall. Williams out. Why make that sub here?
Athleticism, defense. Only a 4-point game, no need to foul.
Here's the pressure. Under a minute. They spread the floor. Hollingsworth fouled with 10 on the timer. And an 81% shooter will go to the line. Time now for the general play of the game.
You talked about Josh Anderson flying through the lane, being aggressive. Top 75 recruit from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We talked a lot about Charles Bassey, but Anderson and Bassey, that has been the difference in this game. Hollingsworth came alive after no buckets in that first half. And now you got to wonder, John, does Marshall have to shoot a 3 on this possession?
42 seconds, free throw rattled down. 6-point difference. Marshall led this game by as many as 8. There's a 3 from West. Tip off. Clock stopped with a foul. Kinsey hit, but he's only a 61% shooter.
I thought that was a great look that Marshall got. Elmore got in the lane, drew the defense. Now that's the same shot that West made to beat ODU on the road. And now Kinsey gets back to the line. Now you have to play the foul shooting game. Problem with Western Kentucky is they're such an excellent overall foul shooting team.
And a free throw miss for Kinsey. Hilltoppers as a team just under 73% of the line. Free throw make. Savage fronted by Elmore. And it's Hollingsworth who gets fed and fouled. So Kinsey's got 3. That's 8 on Marshall, 1-1 the other end for a top 10 shooter in Conference USA.
Nearly 81% from the free throw line. And John, you see all the potential at Western Kentucky. You see the flashes. It's just a matter of putting 40 minutes together.
Free throw make. Hilltoppers have some huge wins this year. They took down West Virginia. They won at Arkansas. They won against Wisconsin. They beat St. Mary's. They beat Valpo. And they're looking to make a loud statement, taking down the defending tournament champs. Elmore. That was altered. That's how the game began. And that's how it's going to end. The wag of the finger by Bassey. Anderson. Marshall had won 30 straight games leading at halftime. That ends tonight. So does the unblemished start in league play. Rick Stansbury in Western Kentucky hand Marshall its first conference loss of the year in a thriller. Hilltoppers get their 10th win of the year. They entered in 9th place in the league at 2-3, but those 3 losses came in succession by 5 total points. The world knows the potential of this Hilltopper team. These young pups might have realized that anew here tonight. So North Texas stumbled over the course of the weekend, now once again tied atop Conference USA with the Thundering Herd. Marshall had won 9 straight games against Conference USA competition. That included the tournament title game against Western Kentucky last year. And Western Kentucky back to sea level in the league. As we join Tim Doyle with the big star, the big man, Charles Bassey.
Well, you hung with it. Marshall had won 30 straight games when they led at halftime. They made a late run to close the first half. They took a lead in the second half, but you guys stuck with it. What was Coach Stansbury saying to you when you guys fell behind the second half?
It was like we gotta stop turning over the ball. We had 15 turnovers during the first half, so we just gotta come back and just take care of business and handle the ball more and just less turnovers during the second half and just play defense and get all the rebounds.
What does this mean for your young squad, beating a team that last year knocked off Western Kentucky to go to the NCAA tournament? What does this win mean?
I mean, it feels great. We're going to continue working hard because that's what we do. We're better today on defense and offense, so we just got to continue doing that and just go with that to the next game.
Did you want the ball every time down the floor late?
Oh, yeah, I wanted the ball, but I mean, I was not getting the ball, but I just had to go get the offensive rebound and just play hard every time.
Charles, congrats on the win, my friend.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
John?
Appreciate it, Tim. That was a stellar performance by Charles Bassey. Another double-double, and the youngest guy on the floor. Turned 18 in October. He was the most impactful man in this game tonight. Dominant touches close to the rim, controlling the boards, and with that, swinging the game as the preseason favorite lived up to its potential tonight. After stumbling in 3 of 4, a takedown of the only team undefeated in conference play entering this game. Well, Big Red, reason to celebrate. A full house, loved it tonight. Our final score, 68-59. Western Kentucky in a thriller takes down Marshall. Up next, Pertex Snow Cross National, presented by Jimmy John's. For Tim Doyle and our entire crew, I'm John Sadak. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.